Most egusi recipes start by frying the melon seed in palm oil and some peppers. I don't do that. Today, I'm going to show you my method. Simple steps, basic ingredient, yet it comes out very tasty and flavorful. I've been cooking this way for many years and my clients loved it, as well as my household. They really do enjoy it. So at the end of the video, I hope that this method will inspire you to try something different. Not to say the other method doesn't work for you, but just the fun of it, to try something different. And who knows, it might become a staple in your kitchen. So without wasting so much time, let's get straight into our ingredients. So for this recipe, I'm using 2.5 cups of egusi or pumpkin seed, which I have thoroughly washed and checked for stones. So I advise you do the same when you buy your egusi from the Afro shop. I'm using a cup of crayfish. Also, I have washed it, some habanero pepper to taste, 1.5 onion, and I'm using almost a thumb size, some ginger and 2 garlic cloves. And for palm oil, I'm using 3/4 a cup of palm oil. You can use less or more as you want. And for vegetable, I'm using bitter leaf, but however, you can use spinach, you can use okorobo, you can use kale, any vegetable that you desire. I prefer building flavor from the protein first. The stock becomes the base of my soup, so I go ahead and add my blended ginger, garlic and onion. I give it a good stir. I add some sauce like salt in the beginning. At the point, I go in to test to see if the seasoning of salt was okay, and then I go ahead and add a little bit more of salt and 1 Maggi cube, or you can use any all-purpose Maggi of your choice. I love to cook my protein properly because the stock is what gives depth to the egusi soup. So at this point, I go ahead and add the rest of my protein, my pre-cooked cow leg, my crushed crayfish and smoked fish. You can add any other protein variety that you like. I love to cook this because the stock is very important. It's the base of the egusi soup, so I like to cook it properly before introducing my egusi. Once my protein and the stock is ready, I then go ahead to add my egusi directly into the stock, no frying. This allows the egusi to cook slowly and also for the egusi to absorb the flavor from the meat and the stock. I really do love this method because your soup comes out at the end very tasty and flavorful. You keep checking your egusi, stir it constantly or often to make sure that one is not burning, even though you're cooking on medium heat. And once you realize that the pumpkin seed has begun to release its own natural oil at the top, you know that your pumpkin seed is ready. This is where I like to go in to add my vegetable, and for this particular recipe I'm using dry bitter leaf, so I go ahead and add my bitter leaf at this point. I also go ahead to add my palm oil right here, because if you add your palm oil too early, it might separate and then affect the texture of your egusi soup. So my palm oil and my vegetable comes in almost at the end. And of course I go ahead to add my habanero pepper for extra flavor. You can add the blended version, but again, in my household my kids do not eat pepper, so I add it for flavor and not necessarily for the spicy taste. So you let your egusi to continue to cook on low heat, and you will constantly check it. Do not rush the process, and let your palm oil also cook very well. This is the thickness you want to have, rich and not watery. Egusi thickens more as it cools down, so do not overcook it, trying to make it too dry. I've served egusi like this for years, and it's simple, but the depth comes from the stock. And there you go, we have our tasty, flavorful egusi soup. No frying, no complication, just layered flavor. I will see you next Sunday in my kitchen. Bye.